Yeah, we are rolling. Hi everyone. Today we are doing like a pair programming session on the integration between the push check and the gem for the pre-received secret detection experimental phase. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into that. So before we jump, Serena, I wanted to check like have you had the chance to like do the changes for your MR after the review?
Yes, I've had a chance to address most of the major points. There's still like a few details that I need to get completely figured out, as well as fixing some specs. But the main points that you pointed out, namely the gem accepting multiple blobs, is working now, I believe. I hope. So let
Nice.
me link that MR to y'all. Here, I'll just create a new little Slack group.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
I was also thinking, like, if you don't mind, maybe we can, before we jump to try to, like, integrate the push check with the gem, maybe we make sure everything on the gem side is, at least in this MR, is kind of like done. So we, or perhaps just focus on the interface part, since this is the main reason we had this call. So would you like us to do this? Do we start by looking at the interface, what input gets into the gem and what output, like we receive back from it?
sure, yeah, that sounds good. And I have a draft MR that's just, messy and in progress that has sort of like a connection between the push check and the gems. So if we wanted to, we could use that just to base some work off of. But like I said, it's quite messy. So I'll just link it here for reference, but
Sure.
we don't really have to, progress on it at all.
Yep, sounds good. I think I checked this earlier today, and if I recall, it's also based on my latest work in the list and filter blobs.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I've done some changes since then.
Mhm.
So if we get to that, I think we would have to like rebase on the latest commits I have pushed so far.
Yeah,
But yeah, like my MR is kind of like now almost ready for review, so that's good. We could start as we said, like with the merge request you have, work on the interface, and then if we have some time left, we could jump on to the integration MR.
sure. Sounds
Sounds
good.
good? Yeah, cool. Would you like to be the driving person?
Sure, yeah. Should I share my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Should be sharing the screen now. Um, yeah, so I've made a couple changes. The big one is that secret scan now accepts blobs, which is, multiple blobs. And what gets returned is in the form like this.
Nice.
So yeah, uh, yeah, so this is the code of what is getting returned. Found secrets is this funny nested hash. The key for found secrets is the blob ID, and within each blob ID, there can be multiple secrets that are in the form, line number, and secret type, access token secret type.
I think that makes sense. This is also what I had in mind initially when we were discussing this, because I think a couple of days ago I was preparing to like put together some demo. I'm gonna share it like with the rest of the team later. But while doing so, I was also trying to put together like all your changes on the gem side with my recent changes for the bush check, and this was one of the pivotal pieces of work, because the hash, as you described, like initially was written in a way that was hard to kind of parse, and I think this looks good now. What do you think, Vishwa? So we get blobs, or like the gem gets multiple blobs and then scans all of them. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So 2 questions. So one is, can you scroll up the main method for scan?
Sure. Secret scan up here.
Yep. Yeah. So we have timeout here. So is it? I'm assuming it's for the whole scan operation. Is it?
Yeah. Right now, I made some changes, but they weren't working, so I stashed all of them. There was like something around here, like timeout. Oops. Something like this, but it hadn't been fully tested yet, and it was alongside some other changes that weren't quite working. But the idea would be that there's like a timeout around the secret scan, what it's doing here.
Oh, cool. Okay, so the implementation is yet to be added.
Yet to be added.
Okay, cool. Okay, just recalling that comment which I made in the issue about implementing secret detection scanning logic. So do we want to introduce per file timeout as well right now with the default, or again, it's a whole, it can be treated as a premature optimization, or it might not. So yeah, again, that's something I'd like to bring it up, whether if you want to include it right now or not, because
or
from the
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so okay, I got that idea from like borrowed from SemGup. So we have a good amount of configuration parameters which we can expect from push check side, which like one of them would be per file basis, so that it just doesn't hang scanning a single file. Although it might fall below 1 MB, but it depends on our the complexity of a regex pattern as well. So if something takes too much of a time, then yeah, it might get stuck within the single blob instead of moving on to other blobs. So we don't need to expect it from push check side, but we can put that limit or a timeout within this file itself.
I think that's good. So maybe we would do it around here when we're checking like each blob.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. What do you think, Ahmed?
Yep, I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So maybe we'll have like a per blob timeout, like, you know, just calling it this for now. Say, I don't know, 10. I'm just totally making that number up, by the way.
It's okay.
Blobs each do blob, like here.
I think it might have to be inside. Inside each.
Blobs each. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So the way this works, we iterate through each blob, and then we start like some timer on the time for scanning. Yeah, that exactly, that should be the blob scan timeouts, exactly. And then we split the data into lines. Do you think maybe I'm not sure like if we should introduce the work on sub-processing in this merge request or like perhaps in a later one, Vishwa, but
yeah, it would
sorry.
be in the later one. Yeah.
Okay. So if we do it in later one, then I guess this kind of seems fine. Like we go over each line and then we start matching them. If we find any patterns, we put them into like this found secrets hash by the blob ID. So like this secrets hash has different objects with their keys as the blob ID, and then each secret found. For the secrets, we have the line number and we have the secret type as well, which is the pattern. There was one thing I think so far this looks good. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on this. One thing that I noticed is the pattern. If you put the ID, can you open the GitLeaks file?
Yes.
For a second. So.
And this is quite an abbreviated version of the GitLeaks file based on what there was an issue about it, but for now we're only doing the GitLab style tokens.
That sounds good. I think that makes sense. Like I wanted to check if the ID is, because I remember there was, probably I was mixing stuff up because I remember when I was like working on the demo I had, the keywords there were other like or like multiple IDs for each rule, which isn't the case now. I don't know. Maybe it was the keywords. But for now, that looks good. Can we go back to the scan?
I think we might have to send both ID and description because the description contains the user-facing information, right? So, yep. So now when we show this on the terminal, so we want to show this rather, that ID.
Yeah, I think it could be a little bit more like user readable if it's in the form of the description.
So we might, I don't think if there would be any need to show the ID to the user. Instead, the description would be something. I think we might need much more verbose description indicating what constitutes a GitLab personal access token, where it starts with GL-pat hyphen XYZ.
Maybe we can show like a combination of the description as well as like the keywords so that they can control F their code for, GL-pat, GLPTT.
Yeah, but the problem would be if there are multiple keywords or no keywords at all. In that case. So but yeah, we can think of the better user facing message later. But for now, we can.
Yeah, I think we could start. I think like both your ideas are great. The combination and also like maybe presenting the description for the time being, these all sounds good. I would personally say we do the description first, and then later on we could look into how to present more information or like maybe add the keywords somewhere.
Yeah, so then I have a couple more comments. So one is we might need a status property inside each hash, which is line number, secret type, and status. The reason being, for a particular blob, if it gets timed out, so we might want to consider that in the response, right? So now because the whole operation might not have exited, but only that blob would have been skipped. So we might want to indicate that to user that a particular blob is skipped. So for the push check side to know that blob has been skipped, it's better. So by default, we can keep it 0, indicating it's a success. But if it's timeout, then comes the status codes, which we have to come up with, not just for timeout, but all the error scenarios.
Sure, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, for now, I'll just keep it at 0, but maybe we like introduce some sort of flag or something, some more like error processing to add other like, status codes here.
Yeah, what I meant by is the numbers, like how we came up with 0 for success. Same way we might have to come up with those kind of numbers for each and every error scenario, because there could be many, starting with the initialization itself. So since it's a gem, so most of the things, if we take care of it here, so it would be easier to move this towards RPC later,
Sounds good.
without any hassle. Yeah.
Shall we maybe like add these codes as like some kind of another class where
Yep.
yeah, like these are representing like another class or entity that represents timeout codes, or sorry, not timeout codes, but like maybe response codes in one way or the other.
Yeah. Okay. Do we call it error codes or exit codes?
Error
Or
codes?
I'm not sure how you represent constants in Ruby. Pardon me over there. So is it going to be like per class basis, or do you keep the class name plural for these kind of status?
We have like a number of options. We could do it in the module, similar to how the version is done. So it's like just a constant inside the module directly. We could have it in a class if we are, for example, not just returning the error number, but also a message. So like it would be like some kind of an object or a class that represents two attributes or have two attributes, the code and the message itself. It depends on like how we plan to do this.
You can stick to basics.
Yeah, exactly. We could start with just codes for now.
Yeah.
And it will be up to the push check to determine like, okay, this is this code, then I'm writing this message, for example.
It's just that we have to document this within this README of this gem.
Maybe instead of gem timeout, scan timeout is more, yeah.
What else? I think I wanted one for this one, like a parse error. I don't really know what to call it.
We can just generalize it as initialization error, basically.
Sure.
Because it can include both the rule parse and file parse and rule compilation.
Sure. So we could raise that on this or this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, compilation, right? So that's set.compile, so that we might have.
Yeah. Oh, compilation error.
I think that comes under initialization.
Under initialization, okay.
Yeah. So we can just log it. It's just that a very vague idea for push check to know which side of the implementation got broken. Yeah.
Making notes for sort of myself, and then I'll clean this up later.
Okay, cool.
Do we have any other in the regex match itself? One is timeout.
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying when we perform that set.match inside regex match method.
This one.
Yep, could it throw an error?
Yeah, maybe some sort of like match error, either regex match or keyword match.
Maybe check.
I'm just anticipating. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating. So
maybe you can check the documentation for RE2 because I don't think they raise on if there is no matches.
Yeah, the problem comes only if there is an incorrect regex pattern defined, which would fail during compilation itself. So yeah, I don't think there would be any.
Can you maybe go to set on the left side?
Yeah, I think it just returns an empty
array. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's argument or no memory error.
So this is for the initialization, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't initialize, is it? Oh, does it mean the constructor? Okay.
Yeah, it just returns can be called after compile. Argument error if called after compile or the pattern is rejected.
Yeah, I doubt this would happen because these patterns are added by us after verifying. It's just that, yeah, dot compile returns a boolean indicating a success or a failure. So we might have to check that before we proceed with the scan.
Whether to raise exceptions.
Okay. That's on demand basis, right? So if there is no match, I think we can keep it false by default. Oh, default is true.
Default is true. Yeah. So it raises exceptions but like not supported on ABI version 0 of RE2.
I think we can disable it because it's just one more level of indirection.
Yeah.
Oh, it could throw an error. It's weird.
I think we shouldn't raise an exception if there's no match. If there's no match, we just skip to the next one.
Yep.
I think that sounds good.
Every step it throws an exception one or the other way. Right? Not just this method. Even dot new rows dot compile, it gives a boolean. It's just that we have to categorize this as like if anything fails during the scan, we can just generalize it to scan error or something.
Yeah.
But again, that would be for that blob, right? Whatever the error which we would show here. For example, it would, if it is 4, then it would be only for that blob rather than the whole scan. Like we do for timeout per blob, right? Same way.
Yeah, I think this is a good starting list of errors. We can add or refine them as we go.
Can you perhaps set scan error to a number? It's,
Oh yeah, sorry.
yeah. I think, yeah, like as a start, these look fine. We could, yeah, go ahead.
Or just thinking out loud. So we might need one status on the outside at the root level.
I was thinking the same just now.
Yeah. So
So if
status
you go,
and result as such, something like that.
if you go back to scan file, we have, so let's think about it. We have, we start with the keyword matching and we return if there are no keyword matches. Can we look at the keyword matches first and then, so the keyword matches, I'm sorry, I'm just like trying to think about the flow of the execution here. We get a set of blobs and then we loop over each blob and return true if the blob includes
It should probably be
keywords.
break.
All right. The thing is, does this mean if we find a secret in any of the blobs, we proceed to do regex matching for all the blobs?
Yeah, that's how it is right now.
Okay. I think it's fine for the time being.
Yeah, Vishwa raised a good point during review that we could maybe like pull out the set of keywords that got matched and maybe only regex match on those, I think is the comment that you added.
Yeah. So we can add those in the optimization section. So because right now, yeah, because that changes the whole structure of this, right? If we do just keywords and then we have to check the penalty as well because we have to recompile the set containing only those regex patterns which matches the keyword.
I think this is a great idea. I'm just keeping, or like I keep thinking again about whether we should break when we find one blob with a keyword, with a matching keyword, or not. Like that's
actually the whole intention of keywords is to do a pre-check before we do regex check. So that because contain check is faster than your typical regex, both memory and CPU wise. But here the logic implemented that we have implemented is a little bit different. If at least there's one keyword out of whole root slot is present, then which means that we have to perform at least one regex. So then let's do regex for all.
yeah,
for all the rows.
I was thinking maybe we can filter out the blobs that has keyword matches and only do the regex matching on them. This would be a bit more efficient, I think.
Yes, that is correct. Probably that was the initial logic until we moved towards array of blobs. If I'm correct, because earlier we were iterating through each keyword, I guess. But now that we have introduced multiple blobs, so we are doing this. I think the keyword match, if I'm understanding it right, it should return the array of blobs, which has at least one keyword, right?
Yep, exactly. So this needs to be rewritten in a way that we loop over blobs if we find like whichever blobs that has keyword match gets returned as part of like an array. And then like we use this to pass this to the regex match. So we have less blobs to.
Yeah, so these will be like, you know, the bad blobs or whatever we end up calling them.
Yeah.
Sure, I can implement this part of it.
Cool. no need to do it like immediately. Let's go back to how like Visual was mentioning. So we would read, or like you would rewrite keyword match in a way that, as we described, we only return the bad blobs and then they get matched by the regex match. And the regex match Visual is mentioning like adding another status because I think we are only having status here as for just one secret. But do we want to maybe like
we can add it in
yeah.
this in the final method, in the parent method itself. Yeah, here found secrets what we get, right? So it can return two things, either found secrets or the exit code. I suppose we can have two variables send. I mean, a method can send two variables, right? But yeah, it maybe I'm biased towards Go's approach of sending data and error as two variables. But however, the point being, the secrets can, for any kind of response, should send at least status. It should have a status property in the response. All right, and it along with that, it could have results, which is found secrets.
So like earn, or
No,
status code.
it could be a hash.
Yeah, probably a hash is
a hash. Like
Yes.
status and then found secrets.
Yeah. I mean,
Whatever the status is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So whatever regex match has sent or keyword match has sent, that would be the default state of the response. On top of that, if there is a positive response from regex match, we can append that.
I think this is a great idea. Perhaps we could like just write some pseudocode for how these could look like these responses. What do you think?
Sure.
So
I think just in the scan file, or maybe like a new.
You can do it in the error.rb itself, since we have all kinds of errors there.
Yeah, okay.
Including success. So you can, in the comment, you can just add per error.
Okay.
Could be like, just below in a comment or something.
Okay.
So we are looking for let's imagine the first scenario. Status is successful, so it returns a hash. This hash has like this status attribute.
Status :0 would be the response.
Yeah, exactly. For example,
and comma, you'd have results. It could be empty array or any, not array.
Or
It should be
results or results, found secrets.
Yeah, basically,
something.
So,
yeah, could be anything.
Like empty or
it could be a dictionary,
secrets.
right? I mean, hash, right? Or an array.
Probably a hash. Yeah. You're right.
Maybe an array of hashes. I don't know. Does it make sense? Or
array of hashes. Yeah, that is what it.
Easy to parse.
Empty or.
You mean what she maintain a hash over there in the secret scan? Oh, sorry, regex match method. That would rather be an array of objects, where each object is a hash of each secret. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, here she's giving the key. The key would be the blob ID, and the value would be array of secrets for that blob. That's the current status.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're suggesting it would be just an array of secrets, where inside each secrets there would be a blob ID.
Sorry, I have to get the door. I'm sorry. I'll be back in a second.
If we want, we can look at the syntax of what I did with found secrets. It's this, horrible mess of nested hashes.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the key would be a blob ID. Our key
Yeah,
would be the ID and value would be array of objects, where
yeah.
each object of an array would be a secret identified in that blob.
Oh no, it's not gonna. It's unhappy.
Yeah, I think you might have to introduce a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to, or you can just open it in an ID. So,
Oh, okay. Well, it's somewhere. It's just having another problem. Okay. Results. So should I say like
yeah, it could be blob ID colon array of, it would be array of secrets identified in that blob.
or secrets?
When I say secret, it would be each object would be an hash again.
Okay,
So
like the explicit, like what it looks like. Sure.
yeah,
Like
line
line number, uh, line number is something. I think I called it secret. Type is something, and then
it is.
status is something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think this would be the optimistic response when everything goes well. In the sense you found a secret,
Mm-hmm.
at least one secret. The rest of the errors would be just status property with that error value. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
All the remaining errors.
Sure. So on error, like status 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be just that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3, and so on.
Yeah, that's yeah.
That makes sense. Sorry, I had to like get the door.
No problem.
I think this looks good. I find it yeah, looks quite well to me. Do you, Serena, do you think you could update the gem to send these responses? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no, I meant like, would you have the time today to work on this, or perhaps when you're back?
I think I have time to at least get started on it today. I've got an appointment later in the afternoon, as well as getting ready for like holiday travel and stuff. So I might be at a slightly lower capacity than usual, but
It's okay.
I can at least get started and push what I have so that while I'm out, you can take a look at it and, give any like pre-review ideas that you've got.
Sure, that sounds good. I think we have the responses at least figured out. This is what could look like. So on failure, it would be like just status with the number, and then for the success, we have the results. On the push check, I can build against this, so that looks good already. Anything else you have in your mind, Serena or Vishwa?
So one thing, I think from the push check side, when we send the blob, so should ensure the blob is frozen. Same goes with the split lines, what we're doing here, because there's a significant memory consumption changes when you freeze it.
I'm
Before
not sure what do you
performing
mean by freezing it.
dot freeze, because you'd have a
Okay.
string. Yeah, so you just call dot freeze and then perform regex on it. There's a significant memory
Oh,
consumption.
okay.
So we should refrain from like calling dot freeze on the data. Did I get that correct?
Yep.
I have a question, maybe because like I don't recall that we do any kind of like freeze on the strings.
Mhm.
I can maybe like share my screen for a second there.
Sure.
Yep. So we have like a number of ways to actually it's two different ways to load the blobs at the moment, which is this one, list all blobs, and then list blobs. If we look at the blob service in here, these how the two functions are or like the two methods are implemented, and both of them are returning the blobs in a certain format based on the response we received from gRBC, from GitLab. So we have first like this adapter, which kind of like just more or less streams through the response. If we are to put it this way, just like loops over the response until like it gets everything. And then the stitcher puts them into an object of this type. If there is data, then we if there's still data left, then we put it into this object. And as far as I understand, there's no freezing happening for the strings. I mean, like I understand the concern about the memory usage, but I just wanted to, like confirm if you know more about where this freezing takes place, or was it just like a normal advice to please be aware of this and that.
Okay, so okay, I'll just share a little context to that. So
Sure.
with the recent benchmarking, what I was doing on different variants of Ruby approaches, regex operation, like when we not just regex actually, in fact, it just applies for any Ruby variable which holds string data, right? So as long as you're not performing any operations on that, right? So you would freeze that so that it doesn't let it expand or allocate more memory for like further, or reserves more memory for it.
Okay.
Right? So now we cannot do it over here because we do not know the usage of that blob by any other places. So what we can do rather is do it in the gem itself when we receive the list of blobs. We can just freeze it and then run it, because there was a variation in the memory consumption. So when I freeze it, particularly large files, because it loads into the memory, right? So particularly large files, the memory it retained post the process was different, was lesser when we freeze it before running the regex. So again, we can either add it now, or I'll just include it in the optimization MR. But I know we are offloading many things towards optimization MR. Let's see. But it's just something to keep in mind in case we are at this right now.
I understand the point now. I think I misunderstood it first. That's why I was asking. So you think we should? I'm not sure how does this work, but like we shouldn't like do the freezing here, but like we should do the freezing at some point in order to make sure we are not like using more memory.
I mean, Ruby tends to keep it open for modification.
Then it
so
uses
that's where
more
it
memory.
filters the memory. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
but like if we are to do this, we should do it in the scan. Sorry, do we? Not sure like why I don't have it here. Okay. Probably because I don't have. I should have the gem already on this branch. But anyways, back to you. The idea is to make sure we do, or like we freeze these objects somewhere, right?
yep. For example, if we do a split by line, right? If you
Yes.
notice. So yeah, that creates a new copy of a string. Because oh yeah, now I see that we do dot each line. I'm not sure what's the internal implementation of that, because earlier implementation was something like dot split by new line character.
I found
Right,
that
because
each line was a little bit
okay, if this is efficient, then it's cool.
A little bit more efficient, I think.
Okay, because the other one was loading all the chunks in the memory as a separate strings. So anyway,
we could still like, I don't know, like freeze like here or something, or
yeah, we can do it like when we perform the keywords match, because there we and the same thing we pass here, right? So once we do it, yeah.
maybe like blobs freeze each.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right syntax, because it's the array, right? Looks.
The point is freeze only works on strings, and the only string in this case would be the blob data, if I remember. I don't think freeze works on objects.
Okay. Blob data. So like something like this.
Yeah. So what I'd suggest is if anything seems a little that falls under again optimizations, we can discard it for now. Let's not create a blocker because of that. Because as I said, we will handle that separately. Because right now the whole goal would be to make it work. Yeah.
Makes sense. I think we, for the time being, if it's a small thing, we could add it. If not, then let's, do it in a separate MR.
Yeah. The primary focus, all that I'd say, is to make it basically handle all the errors, those kind of things. Basically make it logically correct and make it not necessarily production ready, but handle all the use cases. Right, so then we will think of making it faster. Yeah.
Cool. I think this makes a lot of sense from my point of view. I like what we have so far. I think it's it could be optimized, of course, and we plan to optimize it. It's as a start, this looks good. Is there like anything else we have missed so far, or like anything else? Sorry, Serena, you have your hands raised. You wanted to say something?
No, I don't know how to get rid of it.
Yeah. So yeah, just like I was saying, I think it's only boils down to getting the MR ready for review again. If you got the chance to like finalize the work on the responses, like the message responses, or like the response codes, whatever, like, you know, the formats we agreed to, that would be great. If not, let's do it when you're back. And for the time being, I think we are on track. Anything else you have in mind, Vishwa or Serena?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool.
Yep. I'm here.
All right. I think we, as I said, like we were also approaching time, so we have like a few minutes left. So far, so good. If there's anything else, let's continue asynchronously, and maybe if we get the chance when Serena is back, and I don't know if Vishwa is also like taking time off. But if not, maybe we can like, you know, jump on another bearing session like sometime. I'm also, I was fighting with the specs for like the issue I was working on, like for listing blobs. It's not super easy to like set up the tests or like the specs for this use case, like you know, when you have a commit, not committed yet to the repository. So that's taking a bit of time for me. But anyways, yeah, if something else comes up, let's work on it, and let's regroup for the time being. Let's do it. The rest of this is sank. I'm happy we got the chance to you know, kind of like define some kind of interface there with the responses, and also like what gets into the gem. We have agreed on so far. So that looks good. And I think one thing that I mentioned to Lucas the other day, and maybe like also mentioned Vishwa in, is perhaps trying to get this written down somewhere, like this interface.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. Like, we don't have to do it like immediately, but it would be great to have this documented somewhere, you know, so to say.
Sure. So for now, we can just add it in that issue itself. But do we have to add it in the blueprint?
That was one thing I discussed with Lucas. He said if he gets the time, he might write it down. Let's maybe just add a comment with the latest thing we agreed on, like the responses, in the same issue we had. We had discussed this, and
okay.
All right. That's all then, I guess. Thank you so much for your time. That was very helpful also for me to think about, and I really appreciate you both jumping on this. Let's continue the trend and kind of like, you know, try to do more sessions like this in the upcoming days and weeks. I know, Serena, you're like out, but when you're back, so yeah, and
For sure.
We can Vishwa, like we can maybe also see if something we could work on, you know, during the time,
Yeah.
like during the upcoming days, weeks, as I said.
Sure. So No, okay.
You want to
So
say something? I'm sorry. Like
no, before it disappears, I was gonna ask, yeah, up until when Serena will be on PTO?
Yeah, I'm taking Wednesday through Monday off. So starting tomorrow, I will be gone. Thursday, Friday, Monday is Family and Friends Day.
Mm,
And then Tuesday
okay.
I will be back.
Okay. So the reason why I asked is, do you want me to jump onto that gem thing to put it to completion so
Sure,
that
yeah.
unblocked?
Whatever I get done today, I will push and maybe, DM you like a status update or, just like a ping to let you know that it's ready to hand off and yeah, whatever
Yeah.
changes that you want to make while I'm out for like nearly a whole week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, please feel
Good.
free. That would be very helpful.
So yeah, in that case, I'll just wait for your or my morning time. From then on, I'll take it over. Uh, I'll keep Ahmed on like in the loop for anything uh, whichever changes. Because since I have the context on what to be done, so I can take that up.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. Thank you for offering this. I have did the initial review for the merge request, so yeah, just like ping me on the merge request or like
yeah,
over Slack. I'll be happy to do another review at any time.
yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right then. Thank you again, and have a nice rest of your days. I think it's like getting late here, but I guess Vishwa is also like pretty late.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty
It's the
late for
first
him.
time. Yeah,
So have a good morning, Serena. Have
Thank
a
you.
nice evening, Vishwa, and
yeah.
we talk again soon. All
Cool.
right,
Cool.
ciao.
Bye.
Bye.